I am interviewing the administrator of Jensen Elementary in Urbandale. This is Elise Bremeyer. So what are 2 or 3 programs or activities that you do in your school to promote and or increase parent involvement with the child's education? Also,
Okay, no, it's good. So first one that comes to mind is we are, one of our actions to reach our parent engagement goal, family engagement goal, is around communication. So we are moving forward right now with Seesaw as an online communication app for parents, and something that was really important to us was getting an app that then could translate into the languages that we needed. And we have been experimenting with that and think that it's going to be a good resource for parents. We bought a school-wide license for that and have a couple teachers who are kind of pioneers with it. But this Thursday before school, we are training all teachers and then hopefully getting this up and running by winter break.
wow.
Yeah, so that's one thing we're doing.
Can I ask you really quickly, is family engagement part of your school improvement plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a required
That's different
goal.
than West Des Moines. That's cool. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yep, and we do a parent survey every March. We have like 4 years of data around it. So our
Wow.
biggest data piece that parents, grown-ups wanted us to improve upon was communication, like about their individual child, not just sending out newsletters. So this will be a tool that we'll use.
Cool. Can you think of one other way that you can promote and or increase parent involvement?
Yes. We have an amazing EL team at our school, and they always do at least 2 different EL family nights. We did a Spanish movie night last year, for example, and got a movie and played it in Spanish, and did like blankets and popcorn and everything in the media center. And I think what's interesting, or my approach to family involvement, is first making parents feel comfortable in this school, that school's a safe place for them to come. Many of our parents, especially refugee newcomer kids that we have, parents sometimes haven't completed a full education and they are very nervous coming into an American school. So doing, I don't know, the Spanish movie night is just one example, but doing things where school then is a safe space for them helps you, like, in the long run with family engagement. It's like the first piece of the puzzle, if that makes sense.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
What do you say your percentage is of refugee families?
I don't know if it's anywhere near West Des Moines or not, but like 25% of our student population is EL, and plenty of them are refugee kids.
Crestview 70%.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see.
Yeah.
Do you have any way to gather feedback from parents that provide you some direction for programs or policies or changes? And if yes, what methods are you using and how often do you use them?
Yep.
So your data piece would be one.
So annually we do a parent satisfaction survey. We used to do the national PTA survey, I think it was, but we've changed to a different survey with our, like, a consulting firm that our leadership team works with, Studer Education. And so it's their version of a parent satisfaction or engagement survey, and that as well is translated into Bosnian and Spanish.
Cool.
But then we give it at our spring parent teacher conferences when we have all of our interpreters in,
Mhm.
and that's how we get like a high percentage of participation.
Cool. Do parents have any role in decision making in your school, and if so, what?
Okay, so first thing that comes to mind is our very engaged PTO.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of teachers who are highly engaged in PTO as well and like come to every meeting. Our PTO secretary is one of our first grade teachers, like a really, it's a unique, awesome thing. So like activities and that comes to mind. We also have not necessarily at the building level, but we have a district SIAC, School Improvement Advisory Committee.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Every school district has one, but then it just kind of has its own personality. So that team is supposed to represent all families in the district and gives feedback on our goals and school improvement plan.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
What tools do you use to communicate with parents? So Seesaw would be one. I'm sure
Yep.
emails, calls.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's anything outside of the box that you can think of?
No, probably not more than
The normal.
yeah.
How do you communicate information about school to the community at large? And do you have any systems or procedures to gather feedback or input from the general community?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you might have a
So-
different lens just with your new school, but
Yeah, so I mean, like, I'm thinking about our building strategic plans. Our communications partner director makes every school into a plan on a page, and so it has our like mission, vision, values, goals, actions, and that one pager is then like given or delivered to our school board. It's on our website homepage if you click into our individual schools. I want to say it was a couple years ago, just like I was talking about with that SIAC group with parents. We also do a larger, I think it was called like a community needs assessment is what it was. And that actually targeted like small business owners and groups like that. It's been interesting for naming the new elementary school. We put together a committee of like 20 people, and we tapped into the Urbandale Alumni Association, Urbandale Parks and Rec, the Merle Hay Neighborhood Association. Like we tapped into all of these different groups as stakeholders to represent or like to give voice to everybody truly on our side of town.
when do you think you'll have a name?
There's a survey out right now, and it's supposed to go to the school board at the December 9th meeting.
It's
It's
exciting.
about 5 weeks away.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What are a few of the parent concerns that you have dealt with most often as your position as a principal? And are there any issues that are more difficult than others?
So, a week and a half after the fall parent teacher conferences right now, I always find that during conference week, things are pretty quiet with parents. And then the week after conferences is when I start hearing things bubble up about parents. I think they feel more empowered after having a face-to-face conversation with a teacher. like I had 2 parents contact me last week about not feeling a very good connection with the teacher and feeling that the teacher didn't really know their child fully in the 12 to 14 15-minute parent teacher conference. So that's an interesting concern. Like, I feel in one way or another that kind of comes up, like parents not loving how a teacher handled something or communicated something is one that bubbles up to me. What else was there on that one?
Are there any issues that are more difficult than others?
Yes, but that's kind of a hard question to answer
It's okay.
concisely.
No, totally. You can honestly skip it.
Like when another child has gotten injured by another student, it's always really hard knowing how a parent's going to react. And
well, I'm sure if the student is served in special ed, it's a whole different conversation too, of LRE and all of that, which can be tough, and you can only share so much.
Yeah, I just had that last Thursday.
Fun.
It's always good when the building starts getting quiet at almost 5 o'clock, and then at 4:58 the office door flies open.
Oh, I bet.
2 mad parents. I mean, that's why it's hard.
No, it's hard.
That's
and it's totally a different situation depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah.
No parent would be the same as another one.
Yeah, it's just a big question.
No, totally. What are a few of the community issues or concerns that you can deal with if you do have that? And what kind of non-school group contacts do you have if they ever have any concerns?
So,
like, do community members reach out?
Yes, with like really interesting things. Like sometimes neighbors of the school. We had a neighbor who was walking his dog trip on uneven pavement.
Oh gosh.
We've had graffiti on our playground, and neighbors started contacting me over the weekend and then needing to get
It just depends.
like it just totally depends.
Random.
Yeah. We also do like a lot of community ed or sports groups use our facilities, which is always really low maintenance to me because our athletic department is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. What are a few teacher-related concerns that you deal with most often to prevent potential school or community relationship problems? Going to guess upset parents would be the first one.
What are a few teacher-related concerns? So, in my unique situation, things like overcrowding of our school is one that has to be very have to like PR it really, really well with the community school board, in the grocery store, on the soccer field, stuff like that. Just, I don't know, remaining positive about things that aren't easy.
When you live in
Being
your
the-
school district,
like
I'm
being
sure
a
that you see a lot of
politician, kind
people. Yeah. And that you don't always get to be a mom. You also have to be the principal first in the community.
Yep.
That'd be tough. Is there someone that you call or notify when difficult issues like the that are mentioned above occur?
Yes,
like
the
superintendent. Yeah. How did I know? How often would you say you have to reach out to the superintendent? Like in a 1 year
totally-
span, does it just depend on the year?
Yeah, so like definitely depends on the year. Yeah, like I'd say there are probably never more than 10 things, but like just this fall, how many weeks of school have we had? 9 weeks of school. I bet like 4 times I've needed to problem solve or
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Is he technically your boss?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does your district have a procedure for principals to follow in communicating with parents, the community, or the press?
Parents is all, we have autonomy over that.
Mm-hmm.
Community depends on what the topic is. What was the other one?
The press, like, have you ever had to deal
Yes, if there, oh yes, if
Oh,
there is, we have to immediately call district office. Yeah, like we've had news crews show up.
for what? Just like random.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like a couple years ago when Officer Justin Martin was killed, like our school's 2 blocks away from where that happened, and it was like a national news story, and that's one example.
Well, that was scary to the district. That shook a lot of people up.
We also, our communications director, I mean, she does all, anytime we are like being interviewed by the newspaper or news, like she sits there side by side and helps wordsmith, and
So she'll
that's her
sometimes
job.
facilitate the conversation to make sure it leads in the right direction.
Yep.
That makes sense.
That's her job. She's really good at it.
Glad she has that job
Yeah.
and I do not.
Yep.
All right. Do you have any suggestions or tips for me as I prepare for an admin position and work with parents and community members? It's a pretty general question.
Listen 80%, talk 20%. In heated situations, apologizing, even if it's not your fault, helps diffuse a situation. I'm so sorry that happened. And then you can get an escalated person from here to like start to level with you.
If you have an upset parent, like let's say at 5 o'clock that they leave a voicemail, will you usually call them back that night, or do you sometimes wait until the morning?
Depends on what it is.
Yeah. That makes sense.
That's also why, like, suggestions, it's so situational. Yeah, it's so situational. I guess don't be afraid to ask for help.
Or call the legal counsel if you're not sure.
Yep, and that's only through our HR director and superintendent.
Yep.
Yeah, you kind of sell your soul in a good way. But yeah, just everything you do becomes public.
Well, thank you. Well,